And so it's Christmas Day here in the VCT world because it is the opening day of Champs, and I will be co-streaming all of the games live on my twitch.tv channel, which you can find with a link in the description. So go and check that out and come and join me for all the games. I'll have stats on all the teams and all of that like we did last time. So yes, it should be pretty fun. But with that said, let's dive into my pick'ems, and I'll be going over my kind of final winner and all of that at the very end of the video. But first, let's just start off with all of the group games, and we'll start with Paper Rex versus Edward Gaming. An absolute banger first game. Kind of honestly, I'm a bit disappointed that this is the first game because we could have had any match be the first game and I would have been excited for it. But this one is an absolute certified banger. It's going to be super fun, super fast-paced, I assume, as well, and a bit crazy to boot. But I will be saying the Paper Rex, obviously, I do think have obviously the experience over Edward Gaming. I also think that they have a bit more kind of cohesion as a team as well in terms of kind of more strats and things like that. Not that Edward Gaming don't have, some good strats and some good ideas, but, Paper X I think are a bit further ahead in their development overall and have proven themselves as a team at this level. Leviathan versus Team Liquid. Now this is, I think, going to be a really, really close game. In fact, I think this is probably the hardest group to predict because I think that outside of Paper X, the other three teams, I think, are extremely close. And I know that a lot of people might not have that. Some people might be leaning more Team Liquid, some people might be more leaning Edward Gaming, but I do think that these games are going to be incredibly close. Leviathan have, I think, just this ability to just scrap with anyone, right? They'll play anyone close, as we kind of saw in Copenhagen. And I expect that to be much the same. So I'd be shocked if this game was a 2-0. I think it will be a very close 2-1. And I'm honestly still really struggling with who to pick in this game. But I think I'm going to go for my first maybe small surprise pick, which is I am going to go for Leviathan. Now, no one knows what's going on. If I haven't picked your team to win, I don't care, to be honest, because no one knows what's going to happen. And so, don't even try. Just pick random, basically, because you've probably got as good a chance as anyone, right? Optic and Loud lost their first two games in Copenhagen, don't forget. But then we have Edward versus Team Liquid, which would be, again, a crazy, crazy game. And I'm going to upset everyone. And I'm happy to look stupid here, right? When EDG go all the way and win champs, I'm happy to look stupid. But I do think that Liquid would win this game, personally. I think that they just have, again, that experience over EDG and would be able to do it. And I know everyone's going to be upset and everyone's going to be like, wait a minute, you were the guy who was hyping up EDG a lot. And it's true, I was. But this is my Joker arc, just coming in hard. Liquid are going to win. Paper X, I think, would have enough to beat Leviathan. And then I'm going to go for the Liquid Revenge game. They win in the rematch. After seeing what Leviathan want to do and what maps they want to play and whatnot, Liquid come out, they win the rematch, and they get through to the other stage. Let's move on to Group B, which a lot of people are calling kind of the easier group to pick. Optic versus Boom. Obviously, Optic, I think, do have a pretty significant advantage. Boom are kind of coming in with nothing to lose, to be fair. But, I do think Optic will just be a bit better than them overall and be able to win that game. Then we have Zeta versus Loud. And Zeta, to me, are the big, big question mark of who is going to win. Because everyone has this group going the exact same way. But I will go for Loud as well. I do think that Loud, I'm sensing a bit of a comeback from Loud overall. I'm going to say that they're going to do a bit better than they did in Copenhagen, I think, and they'll be back somewhat into better form. Boom versus Zeta. I do think that Zeta again will probably just have more experience and just be a bit of a better team overall, and so I would expect them to potentially win that. But then we have Optic versus Loud here, and this obviously would be again another rematch of these two teams who constantly seem to play each other. And Optic have had a bit of the advantage ever since obviously they won the most important game between these two teams. But I'm going to go for a bit of Loud revenge. Why not? But then I do have Optic still going on to beat Zeta there, as I kind of fake you out. But I do still have Optic winning that game, and so both those teams qualifying, kind of as everyone might expect. Then we have Group C here, FPX versus Crew. I think obviously FPX, after winning Copenhagen, will definitely be favored for this one. And then we have XZ versus Xerxia. Now, XZ are a team that I think is, again, underrated. People, particularly who watch my streams, will know that XZ played pretty horribly, I think, in Copenhagen for the most part, and definitely didn't play as well as they could have. But I do think that they, will be a bit of a bounce back, right? They've got that kind of more experience now. They've been there before now, and I think Xerxia were a pretty big disappointment in Copenhagen as well. They didn't play up to the levels that I know that they can do, and so we'll have to see if they can break out of that. But I do have Xset winning that game. But then I am going to go for Crew as well over Xerxia. I think Crew, obviously are the only team that have been to every single LAN, so they have more than enough experience. And, they just, I just believe in Crew that, having seen what they did at Copenhagen, I think they are a dangerous team to play. But I will be going FPX over Xset because it's FPX. But then I also will be going for Crew. I just have this Crew. I don't know why. I'm just seeing Mazzino. A game is going to get played on Icebox here between these two teams. And Mazzino's just going to go absolutely insane like he always does on Icebox and win the game for Crew. And that's what I've got happening. This will be a game that goes to 3 maps. Last map, Icebox, Crew win it. Mazzino goes crazy. And then finally, Group D. DRX, unfortunately for Fioria, who, I don't think too many people have hopes for going, pretty deep in this tournament. I do think that DRX are probably the worst matchup they could have got, to be honest, because DRX always start out a tournament, it seems, just on fire. Fnatic 100 Thieves, big kind of game. The NA versus EMEA rivalry will be, all there for that one. But I do think Fnatic, again, they have the experience. I think they have what it takes to beat a team like 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves are exactly the kind of team that Fnatic does well against, where, there aren't too many, like, major shocks or surprises. They kind of play in a normal sort of way. They kind of play like Fnatic in a way. I think that suits Fnatic down to the T. That Fnatic don't want to play teams like Paper Rex, who will, do weird stuff that they haven't seen before, and, maybe their prep is slightly off, or things like that, right? Like we saw against Paper Rex when they played them. I think that Fnatic want to play a team like 100 Thieves, where, they perhaps have more of a sense of what's going to happen in the game. Then I do think 100 Thieves, have what it takes to beat Fioria, who... Yeah, I think made a few too many mistakes in their LCQ for me to feel confident about it. And, I would have liked to have seen them, if they would have just taken like a map or two off Crew in their game there, that would have given me a lot more hope for Furia. But the fact that they got 3-0'd by Crew, doesn't give me too much hope for them overall, but we'll see. DRX versus Fnatic. I'm actually going to surprise people here as well. I'm going to pick DRX, and the reason I'm going to pick DRX is because DRX always start tournaments with a bunch of cool ideas that no one's ever seen before, and they've had a lot of time to brew these ideas this time and, come up with some crazy stuff. And I think that they'll catch Fnatic off guard with it, right? As I was talking about with Fnatic, kind of knowing what style is coming to them, I think DRX can, do some of that crazy fracture stuff with Neon that they do sometimes, and they'll just come out on a map and be like, wait a minute, all of a sudden they're just amazing at this map. And I think that could happen. But then again, I think the Fnatic will just have a sort of prep on 100 Thieves, and will know what to do against 100 Thieves. So those are my group pick'ems here for what is going to happen at Valorant Champs 2022, but I was actually faking you out completely, because EDG will be winning these games, and EDG will be qualifying to the playoffs, and of course will be winning the whole tournament. Everyone is playing for second place, as I've said multiple times before. Sorry, Liquid, but it is EDG, and just so that you know, there you go. Submit. Boom. It's in. What? I have to redo this? Oh my god. Anyway, you saw what the pick'ems were. But now let's quickly talk about who I'm going to have winning the whole tournament. And for those of you who aren't aware, for the last 2 tournaments in Reykjavik and Copenhagen, I had the winners being Fnatic. Now, to be fair, I made that pick for Reykjavik when I didn't realize Durka wasn't playing. Had I known that, I don't think I would have made that pick. But either way, I thought, why not just make it 3 out of 3, right? No one has ever repeated a tournament. We've had a different winner for every single tournament. And so what I'm going to say is that this Champs mirrors the last Champs, where the second team from EMEA, I'm pretty sure Ascend were the second team, wins the whole thing against the top team, the top seed from EMEA, and the current Masters winners, which was Gambit last year in the final. This time it will be FPX. Fnatic beat FPX on map 5 in a best of 5 series. That's what I'm going to say happens. Fnatic win their first ever trophy here in Valorant, and will, be the champs for that year. That is what I have happening, and I think that will, play out. And my tournament MVP, you know what, it's going to be Durka, right? Dirk is going to be the MVP. He's going to, show his return to form and go crazy. In my predictions, they would have actually lost this game to DRX here, so they would have lost a game, but actually that has happened to both of the winners of the previous tournaments this year as well. Optic lost 2 games, I think, and FPX lost 2 games as well. So, it can definitely happen. And so, yes, that is what I have happening. I hope that you disagree with me. I'm sure you all will. But with that said, let the games begin, and I'll see you all on my stream.